Anita was a bright and intelligent young woman, born into a modest and humble family. Despite her brilliance, she often found herself battling insecurities. The root of her struggles lay in her body image. Anita was exceptionally slim. To her, this was not just a physical trait but a disadvantage that seemed to follow her wherever she went. Her slender frame set her apart, and not in the way she would have liked. Her 5 closest friends, on the other hand, were curvy and confident. Each of them exuded beauty in a way that caught people's attention effortlessly. They were often showered with compliments and admiration, something Anita longed for but never experienced. Instead, she felt like an outsider within her own circle of friends. When they all got to university, the gap between Anita's life and her friends' lives seemed to widen even further. Her friends quickly became the center of attention on campus. They went to glamorous parties, caught the eyes of charming young men, and lived carefree, exciting lives. Meanwhile, Anita felt like an invisible shadow in their dazzling world. It wasn't as though Anita didn't want to enjoy her youth or experience the same things her friends did. Deep down, she yearned for the thrill of campus life, the laughter, the parties, and the possibility of romance. But her reality was starkly different. The few times she tried to step out of her comfort zone, she was met with ridicule. People would make jokes about her slender frame, often in whispers loud enough for her to hear. Her friends, though kind at heart, didn't make things easier. They would laugh along with the jokes, never realizing how much it hurt Anita. Their light-hearted teasing slowly chipped away at her confidence, leaving her feeling small and inferior. Anita often wondered if she even belonged in their world. One fateful evening, as the 6 friends gathered in their shared apartment, one of them, Blessing, returned from a party with an air of excitement that was impossible to ignore. Her eyes sparkled with mischief, and her voice carried a contagious enthusiasm as she said, "I have an idea that will make us the hottest and most talked about girls on campus." The room buzzed with curiosity as the others leaned in, eager to hear what Blessing had to say. "Imagine us being the queens of every event, everyone wanting to be like us and boys lining up just to catch our attention," she continued. The idea sparked a wave of excitement among the group. The friends began discussing Blessing's plan with enthusiasm, imagining themselves as the most popular girls on campus. They talked about the clothes they would wear, the exclusive parties they would attend, and the attention they would receive. But Anita sat quietly in the corner, her heart sinking with every word. While her friends saw an opportunity to elevate their social status, Anita saw something else entirely. She knew that whatever Blessing had in mind would likely go against everything she had been taught growing up. Anita's family, though humble, was deeply rooted in faith and values. Her parents had always instilled in her the importance of integrity, humility, and staying true to oneself. They often reminded her that beauty was more than just physical appearance. It was about character, kindness, and inner strength. As her friends excitedly discussed the plan, Anita felt a sense of unease. Finally, she spoke up, her voice soft but firm. "I'm not sure about this. I don't think it's the kind of life I want to live." Her friends turned to look at her, surprise evident on their faces. "Oh, come on, Anita," one of them said, rolling her eyes. "Don't you want to have fun for once? You're always so serious and boring." The words stung, but Anita held her ground. "It's not about being boring," she said quietly. "I just don't think this is right for me." The room fell silent for a moment before Blessing broke the tension with a shrug. "Suit yourself," she said. "But don't blame us when we're out there living our best lives and you're stuck here doing nothing." Anita didn't respond. Instead, she retreated to her room, feeling a mix of sadness and resolve. She knew she would never fit into the life her friends were chasing. It wasn't that she didn't want happiness or excitement. She just wanted it on her own terms. While her friends continued to dream about becoming the queens of campus, Anita focused on her studies and her simple life. She spent her days attending classes, reading in the library, and volunteering at a local charity. Though her life was far from glamorous, it brought her a quiet sense of fulfillment. But deep down, Anita couldn't shake the feeling that something big was about to happen, something that would change all their lives forever. As weeks passed, Anita's friends became almost unrecognizable. After undergoing surgery, they looked stunning, their new appearances turning heads wherever they went. Their confidence skyrocketed and their popularity on campus soared. They became the center of attention at every event, their pictures flooding social media, with comments from admirers praising their beauty. Anita couldn't help but feel a pang of envy. No matter how much she tried to focus on her simple life, her insecurities grew each time she saw her friends basking in admiration. The contrast between her plain appearance and their glamorous new looks felt like a heavy weight on her chest. She started spending more time around them, asking subtle questions about the surgery. "Anita, you should really consider it," Blessing said one evening, flipping her long, silky hair as she admired herself in the mirror. "Imagine how amazing you'd look. You'll become the talk of the school just like us." The others chimed in, nodding enthusiastically. "Yes, Anita. You have the height and features. All you need is the perfect body to match. Trust us, once you do it, you'll never regret it." At first, Anita hesitated. Deep down, she knew her parents would never approve of such a decision. Their teachings about self-acceptance, morality, and staying true to one's values echoed faintly in her mind. But the louder voices were those of her friends, constantly reminding her how much better life could be. "You'll finally be able to go to parties with us and actually enjoy yourself. No one will make fun of you anymore," her friend Omalicha said, smiling encouragingly. Anita's resolve began to waver. The desire to fit in, to feel beautiful and admired, started to overshadow the values her parents had instilled in her. The more she thought about it, the more convinced she became that her current life was boring and unfulfilling compared to her friend's glamorous world. One morning, as Anita prepared for class, she decided to pick up her Bible, a habit her mother had encouraged since childhood. As she opened it, a small note slipped out and fell onto her lap. It was her mother's handwriting, neat and familiar. The note read, "Never follow your friends to do evil." For a moment, Anita froze. Her heart raced as the words stared back at her. Memories of her mother's gentle voice filled her mind, how she would always remind Anita to be careful of the company she kept. She sighed deeply, thinking, "But my friends aren't evil. They're just enjoying life." Her mind wandered back to her childhood. Her parents had been strict, always locking her indoors and forbidding her from attending parties. At the time, she resented their rules, often wondering why her life had to be so different. Now, seeing her friends living so freely, she felt as though her parents had robbed her of the chance to experience life. Still holding the note, Anita whispered to herself, "Maybe it's time I live for myself, not for them." The more she thought about it, the more determined she became to join her friends. She began asking them for details about the surgery, the clinic, the cost, the process. They were more than happy to help, encouraging her every step of the way. "The surgery is 1.5 million naira, Blessing said one day, casually applying makeup. "But trust me, Anita, it's worth every naira. You'll get your money back in attention alone." The others laughed, nodding in agreement. Anita's stomach dropped at the figure. She didn't have that kind of money, and she knew her parents wouldn't be able to afford it either. But the desire to transform herself was too strong to ignore. She decided she would find a way no matter what it took. She approached her parents with a carefully crafted lie. "Mummy, Daddy, I need money for an important school project," she began, her voice filled with feigned urgency. "It's really important for my grades, and I need about 500,000 naira. Her parents, though struggling financially, believed her. They did everything they could, borrowing from friends, cutting down expenses, to raise the money. After weeks of effort, they handed her the 500,000 naira with words of encouragement. "We trust you, Anita. Make us proud," her father said, patting her shoulder. But 500,000 naira wasn't enough. Desperate, Anita turned to a loan company, lying about her purpose to secure an additional 1 million naira. The process was nerve-wracking, but she pushed through, driven by the image of her new self that her friends had painted so vividly. With the money in hand, Anita scheduled the surgery. Her friends cheered her on, assuring her that this was the best decision she could ever make. "You're going to love the new you," they said, their excitement infectious. The day of the surgery arrived, and Anita was a bundle of nerves and anticipation. The clinic was luxurious, the staff professional and kind, which helped ease her anxiety. The procedure itself went smoothly, and when Anita woke up and saw her reflection in the mirror for the first time, she was overwhelmed with emotion. She looked beautiful. For the first time in her life, she felt confident and attractive. As she returned to campus, heads turned, and whispers followed her everywhere. She became the center of attention, just as her friends had promised. Anita began dressing in trendy outfits, posting stunning pictures on social media, and attending every party. She was finally living the life she had always envied. Everywhere she went, people complimented her, and her confidence grew with each passing day. Anita felt like she had finally found her place among her friends, and in the world. But little did she know, this newfound life came with its own set of challenges and consequences, waiting to unfold. Anita's transformation was nothing short of remarkable. The once skinny and shy girl had become unrecognizable. Her newly enhanced curves and radiant confidence made her the center of attention everywhere she went. Students on campus could hardly believe their eyes when they saw her. "Is that Anita?" someone would whisper. "No way. The deeper life girl? She's a total slay queen now." Her name became the talk of the university. Rumors and stories spread like wildfire. Some marveled at her beauty, while others criticized her sudden change. Social media was buzzing with her pictures, and her transformation became a topic of discussion on different platforms. Anita basked in the attention. For the first time she felt like she truly belonged. She embraced the compliments, the invitations, and the admiration. She went to every party, slayed in every outfit, and enjoyed the spotlight her new look had brought her. But beneath the surface of her glamorous new life, trouble was brewing. One fateful day Anita noticed something strange. Her lower back felt sore, and there was a faint, unpleasant smell she couldn't ignore. At first she brushed it off thinking it was nothing serious. But as the days went on, the pain grew worse and the smell became unbearable. Her friends, who had once been her biggest cheerleaders, began to keep their distance, wrinkling their noses in disgust. "Anita, you should really get that checked out," one of them said, avoiding eye contact. Embarrassed but desperate, Anita decided to go to the hospital where she had undergone the surgery. By the time she arrived, the pain was excruciating and she could barely sit down. The doctors ran tests and examined her, their expressions growing more serious with each passing moment. "Miss Anita," one of them finally said, his voice heavy with concern. "Some of the tissues in your buttocks are infected. They're starting to decay. This is a serious situation." Anita's heart sank. "What do you mean, decay?" she stammered, tears welling up in her eyes. "It means the tissues are rotting," the doctor replied gently. "The implants may have been contaminated or your body is rejecting them. We need to act fast, but even with treatment, the damage might be irreversible." Panic set in as Anita realized the gravity of the situation. Her friends had told her the surgery was safe, that there was nothing to worry about. But now here she was facing the horrifying consequences. Despite the doctor's best efforts, the infection continued to spread. The situation spiraled out of control and soon the news reached Anita's parents. When they arrived at the hospital, nothing could have prepared them for what they saw. Their daughter, once vibrant and full of life, now lay on a hospital bed, pale and weak. Her body, once the source of her pride and newfound confidence, was now her greatest source of pain and shame. The room smelled faintly of the infection, a grim reminder of how far things had gone. Anita burst into tears the moment she saw her parents. "Mama, Papa, I'm sorry," she sobbed. "I didn't mean for this to happen. I just wanted to fit in. I wanted to feel beautiful." Her mother knelt by her bedside, tears streaming down her face. "Anita, why? Why didn't you come to us? Why didn't you tell us how you felt?" Her father stood silently, his hands trembling as he wiped his eyes. "We gave you everything we could. We trusted you. Why would you lie to us for something like this?" "I was tired of feeling left out," Anita whispered, her voice barely audible. "I just wanted to be like them, to be accepted." Her parents, though deeply hurt, couldn't turn their backs on their only child. Despite their disappointment, they held her hands tightly, praying for her recovery. "Anita, we forgive you," her mother said softly. "No matter what, you're still our daughter. We'll get through this together." But Anita's condition worsened by the day. The infection had spread too far and her body was too weak to fight it. Her friends, who had once encouraged her to undergo the surgery, were nowhere to be found. They had abandoned her, too ashamed to be associated with the tragic consequences of their advice. Alone on her hospital bed, surrounded only by her grieving parents, Anita reflected on her choices. She realized how far she had strayed from the values her parents had taught her. She thought about the note her mother had left in her Bible and how she had ignored its warning. As the days turned into weeks, Anita's strength faded. One quiet morning, with tears in her eyes and her parents by her side, she whispered, "Mama, Papa, I love you. Please forgive me." And then she closed her eyes for the last time. The news of Anita's death spread quickly across the campus. "Did you hear?" students whispered. "That deeper life girl who did BBL, she died because of it." Her story became a cautionary tale, a stark reminder of the dangers of chasing societal standards of beauty at the cost of one's health and values. Back at home, Anita's parents mourned the loss of their daughter. Though their hearts were broken, they held on to the hope that her story might save others from making the same mistake. They prayed that young people would learn to embrace their true selves, finding beauty not in outward appearances, but in the strength of their character and the love they carried within. This story has a lot to teach us. Kindly share the lessons learned from this story in the comment section so we can interact better. If you are joining this channel for the first time, kindly click on the subscribe button to give me a follow, like my video and share this video to as many people as possible. See you in my next episode.